डिस्टर्बेंस, राइट? तो मजा नहीं आ रहा है, वो फोन में लगे हैं, तो शायद हम दूसरा कुछ बात करें, नहीं? चलो. So basically, the cyber security is a very vast subject. When I was thinking about it, what to share with you people who are anyway living in the information world, what more can I add to your value when you're already so much knowledgeable and big conference going on? So I thought, let me bring a perspective that as a data analyst, what are you likely to be, and what can be the threat and opportunity for you from a cyber perspective. That's the perception I thought it will be useful to you, and from that perspective, I will be talking to you. So this last 2-3 days conference, another 1-2 days, you are flooded with data everywhere. So monsoon में बारिश आता है, मुंबई में सब लोग पानी में सब data everywhere. ये data analytics is everywhere. When I say what it means is, whole world is excited about it. Everybody wants to do analysis. कहा जाता है कि paralysis of analysis. Everybody has a analysis up and down. Now today we can analyze anything and everything. एक बॉल खेलता है क्रिकेटर तो उसके पीछे 10-5 कमेंट तो आ ही जाते हैं. So we want to analyze everything. We want to analyze past. ये कैसा हुआ, वैसा क्यों हुआ, क्या हुआ वगैरह. Then we want to predict the future, sales, blah blah blah. But we also want to focus on products, services, sales, market, because that's where money we have to run after. Ultimately, we are all in a rat race, so we have to make money, more money for companies, for ourselves. Then what do? We analyze performance. IPL होता है, बहुत सारी मैचेस होती है, कबड्डी होता है, खो-खो होता है, IPL में क्रिकेट होता है, वुमेन्स क्रिकेट, सब दूर. Everything is to be performance driven. Everything is analytics. उसने इतना रन बनाए, इतने खेला, इतना नहीं खेला, ये वो सब. So all world is paranoid about this whole analysis and performance of players, sports. You go to South Africa, they have so much of cricket analytics, you go crazy. Environment, बहुत कुछ चल रहा है. ESG लोग बात सुनते हैं. What is ESG by the way? ESG. Alright, environmental, social, governance. बड़ा जाता है. But good, I'm happy that you know all of it. तो उसका भी एनालिसिस करना पड़ता है. एनी प्रोजेक्ट भी डन उसका है. एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट एनालिसिस करना पड़ता है. Then you have sentiment analysis. This term has come after the US elections and everybody trying to see what could be the sentiment, who will win, who will lose. All the sentiment analysis part of analysis. So at the end of the day, whatever you give, I want to make some analysis out of that because that's my job, that's my learning, that's my training. Now what's trending? Now what is trending is augmented data management. You know this subject more than me. X analytics, you can give anything and I'll analyze it. Data, text, video, audio, जो भी है उसका analysis करते हैं. Then decision intelligence, क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. कोई स्टॉक मार्केट में खरीदना है, वो बेचना है. कोई हॉर्स रेस में करना चाहता है, कोई बिटकॉइन में करना चाहता है. So everybody wants to make some decision making, some interesting stuff that you want to do using the data that you have. And obviously the recent jargon that has come from November last year is this chat GPT. वो क्या करने वाले तो मालूम ही नहीं. Type in something and it tells you complete itinerary. Google को तो beat करने का ख्याल है उनका. So all that when it is happening, then we are all in this room, students, future generation of this country, etc. All of you are worried about the data, how to do, how will I make career, etc. Some of you might be already experienced working somewhere now, coming here for MP, or you may be into job. What is going to happen to you? Either you will work for yourself, startup करेंगे, business चालू करेंगे, or you will work for somebody. Either way, this is going to be interesting for you. Now, like data is everywhere, cyber is also everywhere. अगल बगल आगे पीछे नीचे ऊपर सब तो cyber फैला हुआ है. So one of the biggest threats in hyper connected world. If you are not connected, you are not at risk. But if you are connected, you are at risk. Now, it's a very, very hot topic in boardrooms, like your data analytics is a very hot topic. People like me who have been CIOs, CTOs for their life, we have been worrying throughout our night कि रात की निकल जाएगी, कब हैक हो जाएगा, कब ransomware होएगा, पता नहीं. So this has been big worry for everybody in the industry who is trying to protect the organization. When we try to protect organization, it's not only data, it is everything that we are trying to protect here. It's like a big security cover that we intend to put across the organization. Now, this cyber threat is such a thing, it can impact anybody. It can impact a common man like you and me. UPI में accept करो या reject करो, जो भी करते हैं हम. So it's a threat for you. It can hurt common man. आए दिन आप सुनते रहते हैं इतने लाख उड़ा दिए, उतने लाख उड़ा दिए वगैरह वगैरह. You keep wondering how will these people get duped like this? Some stupidity somewhere. So it can hurt everybody. It can hurt corporates. It can hurt countries to that extent. वो बीच में बलून आता है, लोग बहुत चिंता करते हैं ये क्या हो गया है. So all this kind of a thing is basically threatening individuals, threatening corporates, it's threatening countries also. So obviously it's not a risk or threat that we can just ignore. Now, if you look at it from your perspective that you want to be data analyst or data scientist in future, it's an opportunity for you as well as a threat for you. So let's talk about both, because everything is a dual-edged sword. Come back to the point that today you are working as a student here, studying here, down the line you become startup owners, CEOs, or you will work for some organization. So either way, how it is going to be concerning you, what is it that you should be caring about while you are doing core job of data analytics is something, the perspective that I want to bring. So let's see first, what is the threat to the data analytics when we talk about cyber. So, as you all know, it's all about data. When you talk data analytics, it's all about data and common expressions. Data explosion, it started from gigabyte to terabyte and now it is going to some yottabytes basically. So this data is expanding in size. People say data is oil, you can make more money if you possess more data analysis, you will make more money. At the end of the day, it's up to rat race, greedy people. So we have to become richer and richer. Yesterday I was Nth, now tomorrow, today I want to be N-1 in terms of the ranking in world. So data is why I want to become rich. However, the word of caution is data is at risk all the time. Because what can make you rich, it can make somebody else also rich. So the very fact that you are talking about data, clean data, and then various other things that we heard, your data is at risk. What kind of data risk you are exposed to? Data theft. Somebody will come, take away the data, credit card data sale, आए दिन आप सुनते रहते हैं. Data contamination, आपने clean data किया है, but I am your competitor, I will go and contaminate data, आपका data contaminate हो जाएगा, आपका analysis wrong हो जाएगा, and all your results will go away. So I can contaminate your data. I can destruct your data in no time. You create lot of models, etc., and I do an intrusion. I destroy your data, and you are nowhere. So I can be a very big threat to you when you are a data analyst, because a lot of work will start only when you are clean data, and without data you are nowhere. So ransomware, everybody has heard what is ransomware? Anybody would want to tell me what's ransomware? Don't tell me that nobody has heard. Somebody? What's a ransom? फिरौती सुपारी देते ना उसको उड़ा के लेके मैं तेरे को इतना पैसा देता हूँ. That's called ransom. Now earlier people used to kidnap. You would have seen in movies. बच्चे को kidnap लेके आए, 1 crore मांगा, फिर वो suitcase में देता है. All that stories. Now it's a ransomware of data. You encrypt the data and you have asked for money. Last year in US some pipeline was kind of encrypted. Data was encrypted. Pipeline which was taking the fuel from one place to other place. That whole operation stopped, and obviously, including FBI, everybody paid a huge money. That's called ransomware. So the software, hardware, it's a ransomware. So all this is a big risk to all of you, and you have to be worrying about that. So, in a nutshell, this cyber is a big threat to the data. Now, if you want to play in that field, you have to be conscious. What is that risk? What am I going to do if the data is lost? You are not going to be in anything. You are going to be nowhere for that matter. So when we talk about threats to the data, what can be the threat to the data? This is very simple. Information security. How many people are aware about information security? No? मालूम है लेकिन हाथ खड़े नहीं हो रहे, थके क्या? थकान वाले स्टूडेंट नहीं अच्छे. All right. So compromise of confidentiality, compromise of integrity, confidence and availability. So compromise of confidentiality means what? Your confidential data is exposed. For example, you are a pharma company, you have got a great research done, and now you have got a formulation, and that's your confidential, because if that is leaked out, your competition will make money. So if the confidential data is leaked, then it is a threat to the business. Confidential information is everywhere, in your organization, in defense, everywhere you have confidential data, and protection of that confidentiality is one of the important tasks. The second aspect is the integrity of the data. Now the number which is 1000, if I add a zero, it becomes 10,000. Then what I have done is that I have compromised the integrity of the data. You were to get some 39 marks, but I have changed it and made it 93 marks. I have made it contamination of data. I have fiddled with the integrity of the data. And availability of the data is I come and delete your laptop, I delete the data on your desktop and laptop, that's a deletion of data. If I can leave your data encrypted, if I enter into your laptop and if I encrypt the data, you will not be able to do anything because you will not be able to retrieve the data from the laptop. So these are all the threats to data. In parlance of information security, it's called confidentiality, integrity and availability. Remember these three, these are called the pillars of information security. Now anything that compromises your data, your job will be at risk because you will not be able to proceed further. So when you are working with it as a data analyst, please make sure that your data is protected from all three threats that I have described here. As a data analyst, what's your raw material? Your raw material is clean, good, large volume of data. That's your raw material. If I take away that raw material, you will not be able to produce anything. So your trustworthy large volume of data is your main raw material. Algorithms, application software, various processing tools, this is your processing power or processing tool. If I take away the tools, then you will not be able to proceed anything. So therefore, from your perspective, your data as well as the software tools, the algorithm that you use, they are important for you. Compromise of your raw material, that means compromise of data, compromise of your applications or algorithms, etc. If I compromise that, it will certainly impact your outcome. And that outcome could be no outcome or contaminated outcome. So all this is important. Therefore, you as data analyst have to recognize that cyber is a threat to the job that you are in, and recognizing that threat is not only just saying that yes, it is at risk or I should do something. You have to find ways and means to mitigate the risk. If you don't mitigate the risk, your data will go away and obviously your job will get impacted. So we are now understanding what is cybersecurity, compromise of CIA, and now we also understood what is it that we should be looking for. What we are looking for, mitigation of the risks. Now, when it comes to the threats, let's go drill down further. So what can happen to your data? Identity theft. You are logging in as ABC with your credentials, etc., and I steal your identity, and I become you. I will be able to steal the data, and that's called impersonation. And the data theft is one of the very common things. May I have your attention, please? Is it very funny joke that's happening? Either I can shut it. The young lady I am talking to you. If it is very interesting, let's hear that. Otherwise, I'll stop the session. I come for you. I have not to learn for myself, please. And if you are not very serious, we can go and have parties, sir. I am very sad to see this, that we come here to talk to you and you find you are busy talking, which you can do otherwise also. I am sorry to say this, but this is something, a fundamental characteristic you have to depict as a professional. कितना भी बढ़िया data scientist होगा, but if he is not disciplined, I will not hire him in life. Please remember. You working in a computing environment, insecure configuration, including your phones. The insecure computing environments, even if you are using cloud, most of the startups they use cloud, and if the cloud also can be misconfigured, then you have a problem with your data, you have a problem with your algorithm, you have a problem with your software. The second one is that many of the people, they use multi-cloud. Multi-cloud environment, sometimes you use Azure, sometimes you use AWS, sometimes you use Google. These are all service providers from cloud. Many organizations, for the purpose of distributing the risk, what is called a concentration risk mitigation, they put the data on different clouds, and when it comes to different clouds also, there you can experience some difficulty, because if you put the data on different clouds for some reason, suppose your organization believes that multi-cloud strategy is to be adopted, Then you as a data analyst, you have to say that how do I ensure my data in cloud A, cloud B, cloud C is uniform data, because if your data is not uniform, your results are not going to be uniform. You're going to work in cloud environment mostly because now people are now migrating to cloud very heavily. In that environment, whether it is a single cloud environment or multi-cloud environment, your uniform data availability, uniform data manageability, these are the functions that will be important for you. So whenever you are working with your organization or your startup, please make sure that your security team takes care of these aspects. Your tools, you may use some open source tools, you may use some licensed tools. Generally these days there is a lot of trend on what is called a crowdsourcing of application development. So there are freelancers, moonlighting, they develop software for you. Obviously they give you deliverable code, but the code itself may be insecure. And therefore, if its code is insecure, you can imagine what can happen to your outcome. So therefore, as an analyst, if you are using some open source tools, there are plenty of them. And if you are using open source tool, make sure they are secure tools, because they are the tools that will help your raw material convert into outcome. Now this is, the next one is the API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Application Programming Interface is something like when you log into your railway reservation, it goes to your bank for connecting money and then coming back. That's called an application level interface. Now the API themselves, there are open source API, standardized API, those are should be all faulty. If you are using any algorithm, you are calling some services from some service provider, that is the time this can hurt you. Your third party access. Now these days, the fintechs is a big word. Banks use fintechs for variety of analysis, various other things. Now if you are a banker, you are giving away your data to a fintech company, which is a small company, not so much so on cyber security, then your data is at risk. Whatever you given for analytics, you will get an outcome, but the outcome could basically be a wrong outcome, or your outcome in itself can be a threat. Now therefore, whenever you as a startup providing service to a bigger bank, or you as a bank availing services from a fintech, be sure that the service providers are also taking care of the security of the data. Last, be governance. Many times you are required to possess very confidential data of banks, and bank will demand certain compliances for you. For example, if it is a card data, or if it is a what is called a PII data or personal data, you are required to follow certain norms, certain regulations. You have to be aware of that. And if that governance is weak, then your organization and you as an employee of the organization will be at threat. Weaker contracts, many times we sign contract, you will do this, you will do this. If the contracts are not solid enough, you are at risk of data contamination, data theft, data security. The purpose I am trying to talk to is that while you are progressing in your career as a data analyst, the side risk also cannot be ignored by you. Now when these risks are there, you say, "Dara to bahut diya sir, main karu kya aage? How do I protect myself?" So first and foremost, recognize that cyber is a real threat. It's not something that will not happen to me. It will only happen to State Bank of India. It will not happen to me. It's like मेरा पड़ोसी मरेगा, मैं तो नहीं मरूंगा, कोरोना पड़ोसी को होगा, मेरे को नहीं होगा. That's a false thinking. So recognize that cyber is a real threat to each one, and therefore no complacency, no underestimating, no wishful thinking. मैं तो इतना छोटा सा बंदा हूँ, मुझे कौन क्या करेगा? Nothing will happen to me. मेरा तो transaction 14 रुपए का, उसमें क्या UPI करेगा? That is not the worry that we should carry. We should be sensitive to the fact that you have to recognize the cyber is a real threat. Now, if you are a large organization, working for a large organization as a data analyst, or you are a startup, look at some standard that will help you to protect your data, because you have to remember, if the data is lost, your business is lost. So, ISO 27001 is one of the standards. NIST is a America-based institute. OBIT is another standard. MITRE is another standard. The idea is not to flood you with this jargon. The idea is to let you know that these exist, and in your business, you have to worry about the side risk also. Then in India, regulators are very strong. For example, if you are working for a stockbroker, stock exchange, or depository, or all intermediaries that they participate in the business, SEBI is the regulator. SEBI stands for Securities Exchange Board. RBI, Reserve Bank of India, IRDA, the regulator of insurance, all these people have come out with their regulations. So in case you are a fintech offering services to any insurance company, go read that IRDA document. If you are analytics working for a brokerage house, look at the regulations from SEBI and so on and so forth. At a minimum, if you are a startup, अपने से ये तो बहुत बड़ा है, मैं तो करने वाला हूँ, मैं तो छोटा सा है, मेरा इतना सही करना है. But at a minimum, maintain IT hygiene. At least maintain your IT virus at an updated level, if not anything. Use two-factor authentication if you are not doing that. At least put some reasonable controls around that. Recognize that loss of data is loss of your business, loss of your career. At a must, at a minimum, what you have to do is that maintain a security mindset. I am sorry to state that despite several years, several organizations impacted with cyber, today also many corporates don't have the security mindset. Somebody will do that, हो जाएगा, मेरे को कोई impact नहीं होएगा. I don't wear helmet because मैं तो गिरने वाला ही नहीं हूँ. So this is the wishful thinking people do. My humble request to you is that recognize this cyber threat as a data analyst. Make sure that you are conscious of that and take care of that. When we are talking the analytics and compliance, if you are dealing with data, ensure compliance because you may be dealing with some sensitive data. If you are working with data which is belonging to some European countries, European EU as they call EU, then there is a standard called GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. It is possible that you as a successful fintech, you may be able to get job from some companies, some banks, etc. And then you have to worry about are you compliant to GDPR regulations. If you are working for a card processing industry, credit card, billjunction.com or Visa, Bharat Switch, MasterCard, whoever, all these card payments, they are required to be compliant with PCI DSS standards called Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, published standard. One needs to comply with that. If you are working for cross-border fund transfer. Cross-border fund transfer comes under electronic identification, authentication, trust services. So if you are working on a cross-border transaction in which money is being transmitted from your country to other country, these are the regulations. Soon Government of India will come out with its own digital and personal data protection bill. The draft was published in 2022, December or so, I recall. Now that once that becomes in India also you have to be compliant to this now. The reason is whatever you do as a professional, it's important that it falls within the framework of a regulation. Otherwise you might do a great job, but you might fail on compliance. So this is having scared you enough about data, theft, cyber security, etc. Let me bring the other side of it in the next 2-3 slides. This cyber security is a threat, obviously, but is it going to offer any opportunity? Can I do something in that? Can I make money using the cyber security and cyber threat in itself? Obviously, yes. So typically, this is cyber kitchen. How many of you seen this before? When a cyber, have you seen this? Great. So cyber kitchen is a strategy or the methodology the attacker uses to kind of make an intrusion in your network, in your organization, and then eventually the end goal is data exfiltration. Data churana jisko bolte hain, data theft. So the 7 stages are reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation. These are 7 steps. You can Google and find it out. It was actually Lockheed Martin principle which was then adopted by cyber security. This military grade working. किसी को attack करना तो पहले रेकी करो, reconnaissance करो, and then attack and action on the object. Whether you can kill him or take money or encrypt the data, whatever. So this is called as 7 steps of cyber kill chain. What is required is, you can see in the next slide. Now this cyber kill chain is something by which the attackers attack an organization at the end of the day, make their objectives good. Now as an organization you have a defense strategy. Defense strategy is that working in 5 stages: identification, protection, detection, response and recovery. These are the 5 steps. Obviously we will not go in detail, you are not going to be cyber security expert, you are going to be data analyst. But if you know the strategy and then you are trying to find out what is it that I can work in this area, you have plenty of opportunities. Like you have various tools in data analytics, there are various tools for cyber security experts. They use SIM. Anybody who can tell me the long form of SIM? Security Incident Event Management. So it's a correlation engine. So a lot of data ingestion happens and you do a lot of algorithm, you do a lot of correlation and then figure out what's going to happen, what could have happened, etc. So that itself is the data analytics. A big piece of analytics. A lot of AI ML is being used there. Then you have security operations center in the sense that you imagine as a country, the defense setup is required to be protected. India and every country has large critical information infrastructure. For example, your oil and gas, your Reserve Bank of India, all banking industry. These are all critical information infrastructure for any country. Now, is Government of India sitting with only the khaki dande wala police which is taking care of that? No, certainly not. Government of Maharashtra, Government of India, all of them are putting a lot of efforts in order to put the cybersecurity in place for the protection of data. Now, all the security operations center require a lot of analysis there. So you have an opportunity either to be developing the tools or contributing in maintaining the tools. You have in corporate, this is called a perimeter security, like when you enter there is a physical security around your institute. Similarly in technology, there is a perimeter security consists of many tools, firewall, IDS, IPS, all of them. All these jargon tools, they require data. They work on data, they work on predictive analytics, and that is how you can use your knowledge in cyber security for data analytics. If the field is interesting, you can move from your sales projection into reconnaissance announcement. There are various tools that are required for forensic purposes. Now forensics is a big piece. Picture में देखता है ना, murder होता है, फिर police देता है, वो pistol लेके जाता है. That is all forensic they do. In cyber security, there is a lot of forensics about the logs. So Microsoft Windows log, database logs. These logs are required to be analyzed. Obviously, logs are crores and crores of logs are there, and you cannot analyze them with human efforts. Obviously, require tools, technology for that. So this is the area where you can work, and therefore. In my mind, for people like you, somebody interested in cybersecurity is not only a threat. Obviously, threat will remain, threat will exist, but you have an opportunity in order to do that. A lot of analytical tools we use for in cybersecurity, AI, ML based solutions we deploy, huge potential for that. What we require to do is that we decipher a lot of data, analyze data, correlate data, and provide meaningful actionable. Who is the attacker likely to attack me and when? So if China is going to hack all my G20 or my games that I am going to host, then obviously me as a country I have to worry about what is likely to happen, how do I mitigate the risk. So therefore, before and during an attack, before the attack happens, what is the data that I get? You get a lot of military intelligence. You can decipher saying that this is the way attack is going to happen and therefore draw a defense strategy. This is all based on cyber kill chain strategy that I mentioned. You can gather a lot of threat intelligence and provide it into a service to the people. Now, all stock exchanges in the world, they will have some kind of a threat intelligence. Remember, we know various extremities organizations, they work. Al-Qaeda works with their own, what is called a modus operandi. Like that, there are various hacker groups, they work with their modus operandi. And they have a set target. Some hacker groups will attack only the banks, some hacker groups will attack stock exchanges and so on and so forth. So if you are able to provide a granularized intelligence service to these people that for your industry, this is the threat likely to happen, better they are. Obviously, I talked about the SIEM tool and the SOC tools in terms of correlation of cyber threats. Those are something that we are expanding all the time. And our forensic capabilities, something happens, we are not able to even trace how it happened. So therefore, our forensic capabilities are required to be enhanced significantly. So these are the areas that can serve you as an opportunity as a data analyst. So concluding point is cybersecurity is a threat and it is an opportunity for you as a data analyst. Learn and adopt it. Learn if you want to be in the business of startup or working for organization as a data analyst, learn that it is a threat and you should be able to take care of that somehow. But if you want to venture into cybersecurity, data analytics as a field, you will be successful there with a huge amount of work. So you look at it either way, the threat or opportunity is useful to you, so you can use it the way you want to use it. And I think that's my last line. If there are questions, we'll take them. And if there are no questions, I'll pick up my laptop. Okay. Thank you very much. And in between, I want to apologize. It will be hard to some people, but please remember, discipline is fundamental thing we all love. And if it is not discipline, trust me, no CIO, no CEO will hire you. Discipline is fundamental. Whatever you are doing, if you are not disciplined, God only can save you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights. I would now like to invite Dr. Sachin Deshmukh, sir, on the stage to extend a symbol of gratitude.